I'm Carrie Casey from Texas Director. This is who I am. We got our funding from Workforce Solutions Rural Capital Area. Thank you very much. We could not do this event without you, as well as all of our guests and, of course, our presenters. Welcome, Nick Williams. He and his wife owned several centers, and they were so much better at marketing than other people that now they do that full time instead of running their schools. He's kind of a ninja at this, so I
No
think
question now, Carrie. So I appreciate you all jumping on. Right, we're
yes.
going to get stuck in. How do we actually stand out in a crowded market? It's not enough to rely on word of mouth anymore. Okay, it's nowhere near as effective. And one of the reasons why is because we are fighting against the big chains. There are some very, very big companies out there right now with very, very big budgets. And as Kay pointed out earlier, there are sometimes multiple locations within a couple of blocks of each other. So how do we actually stand out? Well, first of all, I'll give you guys a little competition. Who can see Wally? Who can spot him? Just there, right in the middle, right in the middle. But the point I'm trying to make here is, look, the reality is that if you do the same as everyone else, you're never, ever going to stand out. We have to do things differently. And we're always looking for innovative ways of how can we not follow the crowd. So that's what this session's all about, because right now, there are so many different types of how to market your business. You have email marketing, influencer marketing, all sorts of different things. The reality is, where do you start? So let's first of all simplify this into two buckets. Bucket number one is we have organic marketing, hard work marketing. This is not having any expenses whatsoever. Compared to, on the opposite side, we have paid marketing, which is actually running ads on platforms like Meta, so Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Google, Bing ads, various other platforms. So we have two types. People are constantly wondering, well, where should I spend my time? What platforms should I be focusing on right now? And the reality is that, in my mind personally, if you're going to pick somewhere to start, just focus on one. And you'd be quite surprised to know that Facebook is still the number one used platform in the world. Still. So if you're going to focus on one, that's a good place to start. So even though I'm saying we should be focusing on one platform, we must be available to respond on all platforms. Because part of the problem right now is, you will see this a lot. We see this inside all of our clients' accounts. You'll see some people message on Facebook Messenger, some will WhatsApp, some will text, some will call, some will email, all different types of platforms, and they will come through. So it's really important that we must be available on all those platforms. Now, I'm not saying you have to be on them every single minute of the day, but there are lots of platforms out there where you can have all those conversations come into one place. So let's focus on the fundamentals first. It sounds obvious, but we need to actually allocate time to marketing. We need to craft what's called our elevator pitch. We need to give our team some frequently asked questions. And there's a reason why we're going to come back to that one. We need to set up and manage our Google business profile. Don't underestimate the importance of that. We need to check our inquiry process and how do we engage with the customers the way they want to be engaged. So in other words, if they message through Facebook Messenger, we respond through Facebook Messenger. If they message through text, we message back through text. So first thing I want to look at here is your elevator pitch. An elevator pitch is essentially, imagine you're getting into a lift right now. You're on the 10th floor. A parent gets in the lift and she's clearly on the phone trying to arrange her childcare. The question is, what do you or a member of your team say between going from the 10th floor to the first floor or the ground floor? So my point here is, if someone asked you or your team, what is it that what you do, would they all say the same thing? And that comes back to the exact same point about your frequently asked questions. I'll give you an example. This was actually a center I visited in the UK probably about 9 years ago now. And I asked the team, can I park in the driveway? And there were 8 different answers to that one question alone. And the reason why is because no one had provided the team with those frequently asked questions. Because it's all well and good to look the part, but we need to make sure our team are all singing from the same hymn sheet and they're all saying exactly the same thing. So we need to make sure that we have the elevator pitch crafted, our frequently asked questions, and these are things that you could do straight away tomorrow. This is what we call the hard work marketing. We get it done. Once it's done, we just need to practice it to make sure it's habitual within our company. So next one, we've never been in a generation or a time frame where you're actually marketing to three different generations. We have Generation X, we have Generation Y, we have Generation Z. We're in that time frame right now where potentially you could have parents from all three of those generations. So it's really important to notice here that a message for example, Generation X, or the way we communicate with them isn't going to be the same as a communication, how we communicate with someone in Generation Z. But we have to start to think about what is our messaging that we're looking at? Who is our ideal customer and how will they respond to that particular messaging too? What I love about paid ads is the ability to be able to target people based on specific information about them. You can target on all sorts of different parameters: location, gender, age range, language, income, relationship status, all sorts of different things that we can target people based on. But here's something I want to be really clearly obvious here. It's all well and good to target on those things, but I still see people create generic marketing, hoping to appeal to everyone. And what I mean by that is, if, for example, I wanted to target third grade, okay, I would make sure that I had images relevant to third grade. If I was trying to target babies for swimming, for example, or toddlers for swimming, I would have images of toddlers in swimming. And it sounds obvious, but what I see is people create a lot of generic ads trying to appeal to everyone. And what ultimately happens is just gets lost, it doesn't stand out, and it's not relatable to the parent that's scrolling through their social media looking for things that resonate with them. So it's really important that we make sure every image that we put out, every piece of language, every content is relatable to the person we're looking to target. So one of the big things I want you guys to start to look at here is having set buckets for where we put individuals into. And some simple buckets that you can create right out of the gate, even if it's just a simple tab on an Excel spreadsheet or a Google sheet. You'd have an inquiry list, existing customer list, previous customers that left happy versus unhappy, did not enroll for whatever reason, holiday club attendees, suppliers, local businesses, partners, and recruitment. Now, you'd be surprised the amount of lists that I look at, everyone is just thrown into one big gigantic bucket, and we end up with a big pile of Lego on the floor. So the point I want to make to you guys here is that make sure you do this from day one. It's far easier to get this done now if you're brand new or you're just starting out, rather than trying to look at this 12, 18 months from now. And the reason why I highlight that is for this very next slide. This is an example of a client that we work with. It's important to not only have the wait list, but in order of when those children want to start, but also the age range of those children when they want to start, because heaven forbid, we could have a parent that decides to leave tomorrow and we need to fill that spot quite urgently. Even when we get to the wait list column of what we do, it's really important to start to break that down to a granular level too. Okay, bird's eye view of where your business at is going to be a game changer for you guys as you continue to grow the business. Let's move on to website. So I'm going to share an example with you in a second, but this is a client we work with, multiple locations. And what I want to ask you guys is, what do you see on this? Besides, obviously, there's some notes on there. What do you see when you first look at this particular site? People are judging immediately on what they see within a few seconds of being on the page. Immediately what happens here is people are making an impression of you and your business right away. And the point I want to make here, there are lots of things that we can pick out from this particular site. But some of the things are, first of all, very clean, very simple, really, really user-friendly, very, very easy to work with. But there's a couple of basic things that I want you guys to be aware of. I've just put a little filter on this website. And one of the things that any particular search engine, Google, Bing, any particular search platform is looking for is, what is the H1 tag on your website? So in other words, what is it that what you do and where you do it? And you'd be surprised how many websites I go onto that either don't have a H1 tag or they have 10, 12 H1 tags. So you will never show up organically because the H1 tag is wrong. And it sounds simple, but you can download a simple little checker like I've just done here. It's called H1 tag checker or H tag checker. And you can literally put this on your website right away, and it will tell you exactly how your site is performing in terms of, do you have that listing correct? What we often see is something along the lines of top preschool, and that's the tag, but it doesn't tell us where people are or what they actually do in that particular area.
What you sometimes see is people just make something bigger. They just make it a bigger font, but they don't make it an H1, which is heading 1. It has to be a heading 1. It's a coding thing.
Yeah, it's
So
purely,
it
it's the
has to,
one
you
key
can't
thing that
just
they're
make
looking
it
for.
bigger and bold. You actually have to use that thing that says heading 1 or H1.
Yeah, and I was just trying to grab a random one just to kind of show you guys, but a lot of these are the big companies. It'll be done correctly. But the point I'm trying to make here, let's just go to this one, for example, and immediately you'll see, there you go, straight away, we can already see potentially there's an issue with that we don't actually have, we have a H1 down here. So if you look at this, they've used it in the wrong way. The point I'm trying to make, it, as Carrie said, it's not a size thing. It's an actual tag that you must use on the website. So very simple to go and check. Download the H tag checker and it will do that for you. You can just type it in on Google, just go H tag checker Chrome extension, and it will check that for you. Now, let's go back to the site because there's a couple of things I want to point out to you guys on this that are really important. When people first come to your website, whether it's because it was intentional, it was either a Google search, it was via a paid ad, it was via referral, they just came across you because they'd seen you at an event, whatever they came from. People are at different stages of the inquiry process. So in other words, some people are ready to book a tour right now. Some people are just starting their journey, but they know what type of childcare they want, but they don't know where they're going to go. Some people are looking at what type of childcare. Are they going to use grandparents? Are they going to use a preschool? Are they going to have a stay-at-home nanny? We don't know. They're looking at their options. But in some parents, or maybe not even be a parent right now, they might just be pregnant, and they're starting to look at their options. Okay, very important here. So it's not enough to have one call to action on your website. And what I typically mean by a call to action is this: arrange a tour. Okay, I often see either a contact us form or I'll see arrange a tour. The problem with this is that the issue you'll always have is that 90% of the people that are landing on your website are not ready to either give you a phone number or to arrange a tour yet. So what do we do in those scenarios? Well, when you look at this particular site, there are 9 different ways that you can contact this business on the first page alone. You have an interactive phone number, check availability, arrange a tour, chat widget down here on the right-hand side. We have things like download our parent packs. We have free guides on what they can do, register for our webinars, all different calls to action the whole way down. And the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is why do we do this? Because not everyone is ready to come and book a tour right now. We have to build relationships. Think about this. You might have seen a particular business online, but it's taken you several times to get in contact with them. You know, I can give you an example today. We've had someone who is looking to come along to our live event in July that came to our website a week ago, came back 2 days ago, came back yesterday, and came back today before they purchased. So the point I'm trying to make there is that not everyone landed on your website is ready to take action. So make sure you have different calls to action according to where someone is in the inquiry process. Right at the top, we'll always put calls to action for the people who are ready now. Check availability, arrange a tour, chat widget. Those are the people that want information right now. They want to take action. Those more analytical people that are just doing their research right now will look for things further down the page. They'll study more. They'll read the page. They'll look at parent testimonial videos is another one. So it's really important, guys, lots and lots of calls to action. And what other people say about you is way more powerful than what you say about yourself. So video is a massively important point there. Moving on to video. Next one I ask you guys, which image is more appealing? Is it the house? Is it the pig? Or is it the swimming pool? So what we're looking for when a parent is scrolling, we're looking at how do we stop someone scrolling on social media. So if we just had the house, for example, people probably aren't going to stop. If we had the swimming pool, potentially people will stop. If we had the pig, yes, people will stop as well. And it's really interesting. The pig actually outperformed the swimming pool and the house. Okay. And the reason why is because the pig was more relatable to the younger children because they wanted activities around farms, etc. So the point I'm trying to make here is that be very, very selective, first of all, with the images you put out, but also use video as a way to promote your business. Showcase what you have. Now, would you believe that this particular building was the childcare center, but behind it, it had its own swimming pool and it had its own farm? You wouldn't see that. You wouldn't know that unless we use video. So the point I'm trying to make to you guys here is video is critically important. So a couple of different videos you can do here. We have main promotional videos, parent testimonials, tour videos, congratulations videos, showcasing what the business is about. And the point I'm trying to make here for you guys is, how is this relatable to you? Well, the number one thing I want you to take, if you take any one sentence away from this session, is position yourself as the local expert in what you do. And the number one way you do that is through the use of video. And some people will say, I'm not comfortable in front of video, I can't do video. And the reality is it goes back to that analogy we had earlier. You either do the hard work marketing or we do the paid ads marketing. And if we can get away with marketing our business without running paid ads, that's great, that's a bonus. But ultimately, position yourself as the local expert in what you do, provide value to the local community, and that's how you'll stand out from those bigger chains, because they don't do that. What a lot of the bigger chains do is they have a lot of commercial videos, very corporate, professional videos. What we want to see here is, why are you different? What is it unique about your particular program over anyone else? So next couple of slides really quickly to touch on here. Top tips for social media. The biggest one I want you to take from this is provide value-based content, okay? So if you know parents are looking for things such as potty training, activities they can do at home, how can they deal with temper tantrums, whatever it is, how can you provide value-based content? Because the last thing you want to do is end up with parents that are not your ideal customer. And the reason why we end up with parents that are not our ideal customer is because we try and appeal to everyone. Whereas if you provide value-based content, let me give you an example. If I believed that routine was very important to my childcare centers, I would highlight in my videos, one of the top tips we believe here at ABC Childcare is a great routine. That's why at ABC Childcare, we ask all children to be in by 8:45, because routine is integral to their day. Now, if I'm a parent that doesn't want to drop my child off by 8:45 every day, I'm immediately pushing that parent away without being disrespectful. Okay. So you provide value-based content that positions you as the expert, but also attracts more of your ideal customer and happily pushes away your non-ideal customer. So it's not enough to just provide images on social media of what you're up to every day, because that's great for your existing community. It's great for your existing parents, but it's not going to encourage people, new families or potential families, to share that content and to put it out to the wider audience. So this is why we have to create that content around running competitions, educational tips, share valuable resources, giveaways. Don't just post content around images of your center. We have to provide value. Community marketing. We don't have time to go into this in great detail, but one of the big things I want you to look at here again, this goes back to the difference between paid and that hard work marketing. Community marketing, or Dream 100, is working with local businesses that have your ideal customer, but you're not in competition. An example of those might be medical professionals, local estate or real estate agents, weddings, photographers, indoor play centers, etc. These are businesses that have your ideal customer, but are not in competition with you. So how can you provide some value to them without expecting to get anything in return? Give you a quick example. A simple thing you could do immediately, you can have a nice family restaurant local to you. Every time a parent comes for a tour or they enroll with your program, you could offer, rather than giving a free goodie bag or something with your own marketing material on. Pay for them to go to the local cinema. Pay for them to go to the local restaurant. You'd be surprised. Yes, there's a cost, but how that's reciprocal in terms of the amount of business you'll get off the back of that, because it's very different to what everyone else does. One of the big things I want to touch on is it's really important to understand. Kate touched on earlier how much a customer's worth, lifetime value, LTV. But one of the figures people often ignore is how much revenue they're missing out on in their program. For example, if you're charging $90 a day, you got 56 empty spots, that's 5,000 a day in missed revenue, 100,000 in monthly revenue, 1.2 million in annual lost revenue. So don't underestimate how much revenue we're missing out on. So what do we do to address that? This goes to the question we had earlier around paid ads. So the way we can calculate this in terms of paid advertising, let's imagine every time you spend $50, you get a new inquiry on Facebook, Meta, Google, whatever platform you're using. So to get 10 inquiries into the business, that's going to cost you roughly $500. If you convert just 2 of those 10, 20% conversion, you now know your cost to acquire a customer is $250. If the lifetime value of a customer is anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000, would you be happy spending about $250 to acquire that customer? And the point I'm trying to make here, this is a very, very quick session, that you have to weigh up that you're either going to do the hard work marketing that positions you as a local expert, or we do the content where we run paid advertising. And don't underestimate the cost to acquire a customer, especially when we're new to this. Very, very important to consider that. Another thing to track as well, even if you don't have a system that can do this, like we've got Childcare automation, but there's plenty of others out there. Even if you don't have a system to track where these inquiries are coming from, make sure you ask the parents, okay? Track those parents, ask them where they came from, how did they hear about you? And even if you're simply using an Excel spreadsheet, you'll be able to see very, very quickly what marketing's working and what marketing isn't. I often speak to businesses that have no idea where their inquiries come from. And unfortunately, they're in a situation where they're running marketing, they're spending money, but they don't actually know what's working and what isn't working for them. So make sure you track that. One big thing I want you to take away from this, everyone can do this right away from tomorrow. We are losing customer interaction. We are losing touch points. There's more and more automation. Even when we go to the supermarkets right now, we are losing that customer interaction. One of the benefits of the childcare industry is super important, guys. You can take this away from tomorrow. Start to treat everyone special. Start to look after them. Think about how you talk to the person down the phone. Make every single person that you come in contact with feel special. Focus on the fundamentals. Make it easy for parents to communicate the way they want to communicate. Position yourself as the local expert. Make sure you know exactly what you're doing and who your ideal customer is. Provide regular video content that creates, positions you as the local expert. Don't forget to follow up effectively. Just because someone hasn't responded to your first phone call doesn't mean they're not interested. And there's always going to be a cost to acquire a customer. It's either that hard work marketing or it's that paid advertising.